All right, welcome everybody here and welcome everybody online. Today we're going to be discussing the future of B2B commerce, just a small topic. This event is brought to you by Valve and MarkkinointiKollektiivi. And my name is Teemu Ilola. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of MarkkinointiKollektiivi and MyyntiKollektiivi. And surprise, surprise, I'm going to be hosting this event. Before we get going, just a few words of how we're going to run this. So we have a live audience and then we have a stream. So let's try to keep this as interactive as we can. So if you have any questions here in the audience, just raise your hand. We'll bring a mic to you and you'll get a go. And if you feel more comfortable asking the question in Finnish, feel free and I'll then translate it to the stream as well. And if you have questions over in the stream, then just type them in the chat and we'll try to fit as many of them in our discussions as we can. And we're going to be live for 90 minutes. And after that, everybody here, don't just disappear. We have this space for another hour, so we have coffee and snacks and stuff, so just don't go anywhere. Okay, so why are we here today? As we all know, there's new technology coming, a rise of AI. There's a new generation of more digitally native buyers in the market as well. The buying behavior is changing all the time. All of this means it's kind of challenging how we do sales, how we do marketing, how we do the whole commercial operation, you would say. This is a topic we'll attack throughout the whole day, but especially in our Fireside chat very soon with Heli Hytönen from Kasvuryhmä and Nyman from Valve. And like mentioned, the buying journey is changing all the time. It's more complex than it's ever been. And it means that the commercial function needs to find ways to work together in a very smooth way. And this is something that Pekka Pulkkinen from Admicom and Mikko Marsio from Cadmatic will talk more about in the panel. And also, this topic will be raised probably a few times by Pekka in his keynote as well. So, welcome to the event where we redefine the success in B2B commerce. Whatever that means. So let's get started and invite the first people on the stage. We're going to talk about growth from a couple of different angles, and we're going to have a discussion with Heli Hytönen, CEO of Kasvuryhmä, and Nyman, VP of Enterprise Business at Valve. Welcome to the stage. All right.
All right.
You ready? Ready for the tough questions?
Yeah, as ready as you can be.
Yes, I know the feeling. Heli, you run a community for SMB businesses or business leaders who want to grow their business. What's the community about, and what is the hottest topic of discussion at the moment?
Well, yes. Kasvuryhmä Growth Group is a collective of CEOs, chair of boards and owners of Finnish mid-cap companies. And we focus on growth, as the name already applies. And our main mechanism is actually peer-to-peer sparring, or I even like to call it peer-to-peer pressure. So we want to encourage our leaders to actually really focus on renewing growth, or growth that comes from renewal and transformational growth. And so that's our kind of main scene that we're working. And our end customer is, we are not for profit but for impact. And our end customer is the Finnish, the economy, but also well-being. So nothing less than that.
Nice.
And the hottest topic at the moment, well, I think it's pretty much the same as it has been for, at least for the whole existence of Kasvuryhmä. We talk about sustainable growth and renewal and internationalization. And actually, I have to say that those topics are still ever very important to Finnish companies. And those are the things that we focus on. Yeah.
All right.
So in a way, nothing new there.
Yeah, well, yeah. At least nothing new to you, but maybe for the listeners. How about you, Max? You speak with then bigger enterprises in your day-to-day job. Are the topics of discussion the same, or are you tackling different?
Yeah,
stuff?
pretty much. Pretty much. Obviously, we see quite a like a variation between very heavily, very kind of purposefully onto companies, and then companies who are trying to get onto that level. So yes, we are talking about same topics, but quite often we see different maturity of companies as well.
All right. Well, you're a good combo then to have this this chat then. We have a couple of pretty big topics, we could say, but one that we could attack straight away is like, what are the most important kind of obstacles or things to take care of when growing your company overall? Do you want to start, Heli?
Well, yeah, I can start, and I think that these two that come into my mind are both the things to take care of, and they can actually become your biggest obstacles. So they are your customers and your employees. And I think those are the two most important things when we talk about growth. And they can turn into obstacles as well. And when we talk about customers, I think especially now we are here talking about the future and really trying to understand how it looks like. And that's obviously, that means that we want to understand what customers expect from us in the future. So I think all in all, the desire to really understand your customer needs is the driving force when we grow our businesses, and especially as we obviously from several different reasons we need to renew the way we do business nowadays. So then that also comes at the end from the customers. We need to understand what kind of challenges they are facing in the future. And I think that kind of curiosity towards the world where our customers will be living in the future is a driving force. But then on the other hand, the employees are something that actually make the growth. So they are your kind of most important stakeholders still, I think. The narrative needs to be compelling for them, especially as well.
It's a very interesting word you mentioned there, like curious, being curious about the customer, and probably also curious about how your people are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
In the company. But are we curious enough in Finland? Do we ask enough questions from the clients?
I don't know. Maybe we are. But the important thing is that we should be more aware of those markets where we're heading, whether it's our own market, those customers we have there. We are perhaps curious, but are we active enough? Are we proactive enough to go there? It seems that in many cases we see reactive actions, how we can do this same thing, how we can follow the trend and so forth, and kind of natural trend-setting skills or trend-setting mindset is quite often weak or missing even.
And what that then requires is boldness. I mean, that is the thing that we mainly talk about in Kasvuryhmä, which sounds in a way very weird, but we really focus. Obviously, we don't talk about you need to be bold, but that's kind of the scene and the tone of voice that we try to kind of build and encourage leaders really, because that is where the growth really comes from. For example, if we compare Finland and USA, the way we think about not succeeding, and that already kind of hinders down the feeling of being bold. And I think the kind of cure for this situation where we are in Finland and how to really build growth is to find the boldness and really take risks. And that is then about curiosity and being the trendsetter and all of that. And then not being afraid of failing. That's something that all in our culture, I would wish that we would change. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're not the best of that in Finland, are we?
Well, maybe are not yet, but we will be. I think we need to see that.
We could be, yes, very well said.
Yeah.
How about when you think about the whole commercial function, like sales and marketing and customer support, and then kind of where we are headed and what we should be doing and so on? When think about growing the company overall, do we take enough feedback from within the company in terms of like, does sales and marketing really have a role in the R&D and the strategy development and so on in Finnish companies, or not really?
That's a good question. I think that maybe we still see that, for example, the role of marketing when we really think about like starting from gathering customer insight and really understanding what the customers are expecting, and then also translating that all the way. Well, obviously sales is working with customers as well all the time, translating that towards then to actually developing either the services or products of the company. I think that's something that we still have something to work on. I think the silos might still be there, even though we've been talking about that for decades already, I think. But that might still be an existing challenge. I don't know, how do you see that at the moment?
Well,
you work so much more closely with those functions.
That's pretty much what I meant earlier about the variation. There are companies which are, already front runners of like creating like a coherent, like a commercial processes and common goals for marketing and sales and operating with one goal in mind. But obviously there are loads of even big companies who are still working in silos and trying to figure out how to put that in work in this current like a buying environment and the expectations of unique offerings and unique whatever the touch point is, they are expecting uniqueness and personalization, like a products or information or whatever the face is.
Yeah.
So you don't see a big difference when it comes to the kind of middle-sized companies versus the enterprises. Everybody's still kind of, not everybody, but a lot of companies are still struggling with aligning those two.
Yeah, I don't know if the struggle is the right word, but definitely companies are trying to find a way to like meet the expectations of the market. I'm not talking about the challenging economical situation, but how to like fulfill the expectations of customers and what is the role of sales, what is the role of marketing, what the commercialization means, what are the commercial stuff. So.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, you mentioned earlier about the changing, obviously, customer behavior and the whole buying journey when we talk about B2B sales, but I think also what the customer journey, what that will feed back to the company and what kind of insights you can actually gather from that, that's probably something that will be developing quite a lot still in the future. And yeah, I think that's the kind of the cue, because then when you really get to identify those needs that are not met yet, that's where your possibilities, and then we would really need to take care that we hear those signals and are able then to develop our companies based on that.
Indeed. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest topics, especially in a larger company sizes, is that who owns the customer, who knows the customer, and obviously the look goes back to the digital channels, the capabilities of marketing, what are the current capabilities of Salesforce and their ability to know the customer anymore.
Yeah.
It's an interesting phrase, who owns the customer? Let's not go there. It's gonna take too much time.
Yes,
okay. Be quite a debate.
Yes, it could be. Heli, you mentioned people in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Right people are not easy to find typically.
Definitely not.
At least in my experience, maybe I'm probably not alone with this opinion, but to me it's a bit like maybe even about growing the whole company. Finding the right people is maybe the hardest thing to do. Am I alone with this opinion?
Definitely not. That's, I think, the biggest thing. We don't have customers, we have members in the collective, so that's the biggest thing our members struggle with, finding the right people, and that applies actually to all levels and to all markets. So obviously in Finland, if they are based in Finland, it's already challenging to grow the company. It's really difficult, first of all, to attract talent and then to keep the talent. But then especially if you internationalize your business, then it is crucial who do you do it with? And that's something that I've actually learned from the community that really is the key. And it is really difficult. And I think the kind of the good old purpose and the narrative are something that are super important. I believe in purposeful businesses, and it always doesn't mean that your purpose is to save the world. It could be that your purpose is to make someone's day easier or something like that. But I think that to really understand what's the purpose and what's the narrative of your business and where are you going to, what kind of problems are you solving in the future, that is the thing to attract talent. But then really to keep them means that you really need to educate them and build that kind of exciting journey for them.
And the culture.
Yeah, and the culture. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How different is the culture when thinking about the kind of medium-sized or SMBs versus then the large enterprises? The talent pool is the same, but the companies are slightly different.
Well, it's a matter of focus in many ways. You know, in bigger organizations, people tend to like concentrate on like a more specified like areas, whereas in a smaller like a company sizes, people are required to kind of take like opinions and action in various different things, and that obviously changes also how the companies could be like managed, and we have organized our services to take this in consideration, the time scale and the kind of multitude of people, that kind of changes the whole thing.
Yeah, I think when I'm not sure if the companies are different based on their size, but I think the challenge is that the bigger the company, the structures might become an obstacle when you should encourage people to take risk. Because if we think about startups that are actually really agile, and that's because of their size, and obviously they maybe don't even have that much to risk as big companies do. But I think that's the kind of the main challenge, that if we think about the skills of the future and how do we really get to the future and find our way, then we really need to be able to take risk and try things and not to succeed. And the bigger the company, that kind of, then it requires more from the leadership. How do you structure the company so that it really supports that culture where people feel they are comfortable of taking risks?
Yeah.
And that's possible in a big company as well. So it doesn't mean it's not possible, but you just really need to think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very important point.
Yeah. Do you think the people, when you think about a startup of 10 people, maybe a scale-up of 100 people, and then an enterprise of 10,000 people, are the people same?
I don't know. Might be that different stages of companies attract different kind of talent.
Yeah.
In a startup, if there's 5 people, they all know that they get to be in a very responsible position. But in a company of 10,000 people, then really there's only few who then have a lot of power and responsibility.
True.
That is true. All right. Shall we attack a B2B trends in a bit of a bigger way as well?
Yeah.
You guys have written a few blogs about these as well, and talk quite a lot about these, the changing buying behavior and all these. But is there a single kind of hottest topic right now in whole B2B? Is it AI? Is it buying journey? What is it? What is the biggest topic?
Yeah, I think one of the key things which is included in almost all of the current trends is that the kind of need for marketing and sales functions to come together. That kind of you can find it from everywhere, and the driver behind that is obviously that the buyer groups are getting younger and they are more digitally savvy and they are used as consumers to use digital channels to make their purchases, to find their information, to kind of self-service information search. They are not expecting or even not wanting anybody to come to them and tell them, how the things goes, but they want to find it by themselves. And I've said quite a few times that companies should, not concentrate that much of their kind of a selling process, but to concentrate on that buying process and how you can be part of that buying process and facilitate and enable them to buy, the customers to buy, and I think that's the main thing what we see now.
Yeah. So I was going to ask next that how is the buying behavior actually changing, but you just killed my next question. So where do we go from here? Do you see this same topic with the kind of medium segment business?
Yes, we do, and that obviously doesn't apply only to the buying behavior, but the whole kind of all the expectations towards the companies, and that's where, for example, the previously mentioned purpose and the culture and all the expectations towards every single kind of aspect of the company come to a point where they really need to start transforming, because the next generations who are now the decision makers and the future employees, they really expect different kind of cultures and processes and all of that. So definitely those are the key driving forces, and what they've used to is completely different than to kind of the old school sales, B2B sales methods. Even though I think some of that needs to be maintained as well. I think we discussed about that as well. Yeah, that you need that face-to-face at times also.
It's anyways, the whole marketing or sales process, one of the key elements of that successful sales process is trust creation.
Exactly.
So if the buyers don't want to see salespeople, where do you create trust? How do you create trust? That is a big issue, and
I think that's the most interesting question there, isn't it?
Definitely, and it's not matter anymore, how good your product is, but are you able to create the trust and differentiate yourself from the competition that way, being authentic?
Yeah. I think a lot of Finnish companies ride with trust. That's kind of one of the key themes that they want to relate to themselves, at least, them being very trustworthy. But that's a really good question, that how do you make that really as a differentiating experience in the buying journey?
Yeah, and if that human sales, like a person has been the trust the link to the company, the one you can trust. If you take that out of equation, how do you trust to digital channel A or digital channel B, or how do you do that? And that is a challenge we're facing in our customer companies, and of course in our own company as well.
Yeah, and quality on time in full, that doesn't, it's not enough. You need something else to create an extra layer of trust.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything. This is a good discussion. It's a very interesting question you say there. Like, how do we then create that trust? Do you have a simple answer for it?
No, there isn't a simple answer to that.
You should have a product now to say, how do you actually do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Quite often at least I've also heard that us Finnish companies and Finnish people, we're quite engineer-driven, you could say, and we focus too much on the product. Are we reacting quick enough on this kind of changing buying behavior and the new digital native? Heli, you are smiling. You want to go first? Then?
No, I don't want to.
Well, I want to say something about that word reacting. I think the problem is there. If we are reacting and if we are just incrementally changing our offerings, it's very difficult to be in front of the development. So we need to be proactive. We need to create those trends and kind of drive the movement, not kind of following it at any way. So I think the key lies on that word.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds very easy to do. Just drive. Go ahead. Be the trailblazer. How about when thinking about the B2B? We just spoke about like not having that human connection as much and so on. Is there a big rise in the kind of e-commerce for B2B, like fully online buying journey?
Yeah, I'd say that it's not even something what we expect in the future. We already see, like Connect Trains type of companies selling their products online. We'll see, like a growth of SaaS companies, different kind of industries are already selling their products or services through online. I've been, like pondering where this comes from, that we are expecting that to happen. It's happening already, and it's reality in global, theaters.
And obviously, when the sales is online, then you can buy from anywhere. So that obviously makes it kind of puts a lot of pressure on companies to make their buying journeys better and better, because probably somebody else is doing it somewhere else already a little better. So the competition is really tough.
And then this comes back to that trust creation.
Exactly.
How do you compete? Where do you find your competitive advantage in a market which is truly global, and you cannot go competing only with price. You have to have something else to offer.
Yeah.
So being quite big topics that we've been attacking today.
Yeah.
Not sure if we solved anything yet.
Let's ask the audience. But which of you wants to kind of take the hit and try to conclude what we've been speaking about in 30 seconds? It's easy.
Go for it.
Well, maybe we talked about the need for renewal, really understanding the future needs, being bold. How many seconds do I have left?
I'm not counting, just go ahead.
And yeah, being bold. And I think the question of trust was actually super interesting. I think that's really interesting, that when the journey changes, to really understand what was the key in the previous way of doing it and how to redo it in a new, the new e-commerce world. So how do you kind of get the same experience without really having the same methods of creating it? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I'd say that instead of trying to tweak our sales processes, I'd say that we should look at the buying processes and buying journeys and figure out how we can be part of it and how we can support that best way possible.
That's a pretty good conclusion. Thank you. Does anybody in the audience have any questions?
Hi. I would challenge your ideas in a way that you mentioned that there's no such people we need, so we don't have enough skills. The skill set in the marketing is lacking a little bit. On the other hand, the situation in the B2B marketing especially is such that we do clinically great marketing, bright colors, right words, and everything in place. But on the other hand, we don't do experiment, and actually we don't use our feelings and take risks. Is that the situation?
I'm not sure if I said that we are lacking skills. I think that was actually a pretty good way of describing how it looks like right now, that we are clinically, but are we building the experiences? I think that's a good question. I'm not sure. I wouldn't know, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd continue to your comment that instead of just trying to do the best possible marketing outcome or the end product, we should be more aware of the environment where we are putting it, and how that competes on that environment against all the other noise what there is and all the other communications and vehicles we are using there. So I think that's something, at least in Finland, quite often forgets, that we do a perfect job, but to work where and against who. So when Heli was talking about the boldness, I think that's the place where we could be bolder and we could go and challenge and fight the fight where the fight takes place.
All right. Another question.
This idea of risk and being bold is kind of, I'm wrestling with myself and trying to frame the question properly or effectively. But how much space do we have for risk and failure? Because as a solo entrepreneur, everything's risk, you know.
Yeah.
And then as a bigger business, you get used to either a status quo or a monopoly position or a privileged position of almost guaranteed success. How do you build? Is it possible to build in? Right, this project is going to fail spectacularly, and we're going to learn. We're going to learn because there's so much motivational stuff online and on Instagram about failure is a great teacher and don't be afraid to fail. And then we're terrified of failure because. So in larger businesses where you have the capacity to absorb a spectacular disaster, and then there's boldness. We're going to be bold. Well, how bold? Do you grasp?
Yeah, such a good question. We actually talk quite a lot with our members about running versus transforming the business, and how when you lead the business, you should be focusing on both. Running the business is keeping the lights on, and transforming the business is the part where you should be taking the risks and actually creating space for that. But obviously in the running the business part, you maybe shouldn't be doing that much, because there you need to focus on, as I said, keeping the lights on. So that's kind of, you need to be pretty clear on that what are you working on and which things are feeding to which. And that's something that we kind of also try to encourage, that there's the one track and then there's the other track that is actually trying to innovate something new. And that requires the boldness.
Sorry, I think we're gonna have to move on with the show, but let's end on failing spectacularly. That was a very good word. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Heli. Thank you, Max. Let's give a big round of applause to our speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're not gonna stop yet. Just a quick reminder for everybody watching online, if you have any questions to the speakers, feel free to write them in the chat, and we'll try to ask as many of them as we can during the sessions. But let's invite our next speaker on the stage. We have a chance now to learn from somebody who has over a decade of experience in the topics we're discussing today, so no pressure. Let's welcome Pekka Pulkkinen, Chief Growth Officer at Admicom. Welcome.
Thanks, Teemu, for the humble presentation.
You're welcome. No pressure, huh? So your topic today is integrating 4 businesses under one roof, and obviously that also includes integrating a lot of sales and marketing kind of operations together. And this is an easy question, obviously. Is there one single biggest learning that you've found from there, that changing this, making this right, creates the biggest impact from the outcome of the whole commercial team? Easy, right?
Yeah, easy, but a really good question. I would say I'm going to talk about a North Star later in the presentation, and the North Star of our integration project was basically 2 things: customer journey and customer experience. Once you base every decision and everything that you develop on those 2 things, then you're onto something good. That's my view.
So it was an easy question then. Enjoy.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks, Teemu, for the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to tell our story. A word keynote was used. I'm going to turn it something a bit different. It's the story of the past year. So, my name is Pekka Pulkkinen. I'm the CGO of Admicom, running the sales and marketing teams at our group. And actually, going back one slide, the original title was integrating 4 businesses, but during the spring we acquired 1 more, so it's actually 5. So a few words about Admicom. We're running an operation with a revenue of 34 million, a little over. We had last year a growth of 9%, so despite the challenges in the market, quite an okay achievement, I would say. We have almost 300 employees that are supporting the growth and profitability of 3,000 plus customers. Admicom was founded in 2004, and it was basically founded on the thinking of bringing something really innovative to the Finnish construction market. Admicom was the first full-scale, end-to-end automated cloud ERP for the construction industry. We were stock listed in 2018 and bought a company called Tokoman in 2020. Then, following acquisitions, a company called Hillava and Aitio were acquired, and then Kotopro in 22, and now this spring also Track-Inno joined the Admicom family. Nowadays we want to call us, in Finnish it's oppivan rakentamisen mahdollistaja. In English it's a bit trickier, but enabler of learning-driven construction. So coming from a construction software innovator into enabling learning in construction. A bit of a backdrop on the project that we did last year. Each of these companies basically were having their own sales team, their own sales processes. There were 2 basically toolboxes of marketing. The offerings were not really aligned, but still we were doing quite a good job. We were growing nicely. Why should you change anything? Why fix it if it ain't broken? What has changed is the market, and what has changed is the change. The change is something that you need to keep up with. And on the next slide, 2 slides from now, I will tell you a bit more on the why. Just to give you a bit of a sneak peek on the customers that we support. These are among the biggest customers of ours, but obviously we support a bunch of SMB customers. This might be more familiar to the audience than the smaller players that we have in our portfolio. So, North Star. Our strategy is to grow the business into 100 million by 2030. So 100 million ARR. How do we plan to do that? First of all, we want our customers to be 25% more productive than their peers. One way of doing that is a comprehensive data platform with AI that we're building as we speak. We're integrating the offering that I will talk about in more detail in a few minutes. Even more that it has been integrated by now. And we're bringing AI capabilities actually now in one of our products, Vision, a documentation software. We already have AI capabilities that our customers are testing right now. We also want to be present in numerous markets. Currently, today, we are present in Finland and Sweden, with heavy focus on Finland. But in order to make the growth possible, we are going abroad. We want to be the best workplace in the industry, and we want to raise and really train our people for growth. Last but not least, a superior customer experience is actually a result of services and software. Whether it's CS, whether it's our bookkeeping services or our paycheck services or our variety of SaaS software, it's a mix of those. And the customer experience needs to be top-notch in order to keep the trust that was mentioned. There were many brilliant words in the panel discussion earlier, one of them curiosity, and I will touch upon that a bit later on. So that's our strategy. That's our project Himmeli. Himmeli for the Finnish-speaking audience is clear. I would really try to think of an English word to clarify that, and the only thing I accomplished was a mixed bag of goods. What we did, first of all, we renewed and unified one Admicom brand. There were 4 different or 5 different brands in the portfolio. Brought everything under one brand umbrella. And obviously, we also clarified our value proposition, which was clear but scattered. And now we wanted to bring that all together. We rebranded and renamed our product portfolio, an integrated portfolio, which it is already at this day and will be even more integrated later on, deserves a unified look and feel. We obviously launched in the beginning of the year the new website, which relies on HubSpot CMS, and it also brought the different sort of support channels and CS functions into a more customer-friendly way or a summary of those. We renewed our marketing process and brought everything in terms of marketing under sort of one process and also toolbox. We've done very successful marketing in the past. We have relied quite heavily on customer references. Itawiki, which is a site here in Finland, is gathered the SaaS companies who have the most references. And before the recalculation of votes, we were the number 1 with over 100 customer references. Then my dear old employer wanted to do the math again, and they won. But let's see if we can beat that later on. But the thing is, customer references are really, really good, and utilizing those is very powerful, but they don't scale that well. We will be utilizing those going forward, and we will also utilize events going forward as well. But we have brought new ways of doing marketing into our toolbox. We want to ensure scalability and targeted demand gen. We also redid our segmentation, by the way. And this is all in order to support the domestic and especially international growth. We have customers who really want to meet and be marketed at face-to-face. We should not underestimate that sort of element or power of that one. We consolidated HubSpot and unified the sales process. Nowadays, every salesperson in Admicom is playing by that sales process, and this is really enabling us to do better cross-sales. And obviously also customer experience is improved. There's this one example of, so we basically had 2 HubSpot instances that didn't talk to each other in the past. And we had examples of one customer team, one sales team meeting another one in the lobby of the customer and saying, hi, so you're here as well. That's not really good customer experience, is it? Nothing bad happened, but we don't want to do that going forward. It's a bit underestimating the customer or the time of the customer. We also created a sales and marketing playbook. Now we have guidelines for both entities to work on a unified funnel. It's not marketing funnel or sales funnel, it's a funnel. Then finally, sales and marketing dashboards were defined and implemented. And it's a bit of a no-brainer, but not in every, even SaaS company, we're directing the efforts of marketing and sales based on data. Still today. And sales enablement is something that is very, very, very crucial, but I would like to call this in a way growth enablement. Doing the things that matter, doing the things that have an impact, doing the things that work. So, Teemu asked me if there's one thing that was sort of a key or a guiding light in this. And the first 5 are basically about customer experience and customer journey. The other 2 in the bottom, it's about autopilot and navigation. Moving on. Just wanted to show you a bit of a sneak peek on the new brand and also our site. And our solutions portfolio. In the past, these were all named differently and a bit confusing at times for our customers. With the rebranding or renaming of products, there's always a risk. But the good thing is that already our customers are talking about the new Adminet is nowadays Ultima. Kotopro is nowadays Vision. People are talking about these new words and names, and it's a heartwarming thing to realize. So, and by the way, feel free to ask questions. I really hope that this is also an interactive part of the event. Lessons learned. What did we learn? What were maybe some of the pitfalls? What would I do differently? What would the team do differently? No surprise to anyone. In order to keep everyone on board on the changes, change management and communications is crucial. It was a really tight schedule. We did this in the major projects were delivered in 3 to 4 months, basically. And when we were discussing this project with Valve, they said, are you kidding me? So in 3 or 4 months, and I said, no, let's go for it. Everything is not ready, obviously, but it can be done. And with a tight time frame and schedule, you sometimes forget to communicate and really motivate people to stay on board. It's basically all about finding the motivation for each of the team members. Why should I care? Why should I hop on this new journey? Data governance and data ownership is very important to be defined well in advance. It can be done later on, but, well, just takes a bit longer. Very crucial to have HubSpot skills and functional ownership. Sales and marketing is not the only function within Admicom, by far. And our support, our CS, and also our product, they're also relying on the data that we gather from the customer interface and from the sales and marketing processes. And the functional responsibilities need to be defined well. Stick to scope. Once you open a Pandora's box, you get tempted to, let's fix that. Let's, that's a bit sort of not where it should be. Try to stick to the scope. Easier said than done. It's really good to have an understanding of the current system architecture and also the target state. System architecture supporting the customer journey. That's the key here. Especially integrating different companies with different systems, with different processes, it's crucial. And also the target state. If you don't know where you're going, the decisions you make today might not be sort of optimal. That I already said, it can be done in a short while. And most importantly, the benefits can be seen already. We yesterday launched or published our Q1 result, and year-over-year growth in Q1 was 10%. And given the challenging times that our customers have, I would say it's a good result and a good show of trust from our customers as well. Questions?
Thanks again, Pekka, for the great talk. You talked about like one unified channel between sales and marketing. What kind of revamp or like kind of project was it, and what were like key learnings from it?
Key learnings from combining sales and marketing here. Key learnings were that once you have a common language, so the playbook, it's easier for each different people to understand what the different functions are doing and why. Once you have clear KPIs for different activities, it's easier to justify that this is the way to do it because the numbers are going to the right direction. There's always this sort of, or in many places, not always, this cat and mouse discussion between sales and marketing, and sales is not closing and marketing is not bringing enough leads and the product is not developing, yada yada yada. Once the KPIs are aligned, once the processes are sort of one, it makes the discussion a lot easier. Any other questions?
I have a few.
Shoot.
Well, first of all, you mentioned sales enablement in your talk. Just in like 15 seconds, what is sales enablement first before I ask this question? Take 20 if it's easy.
20. Thank you. All the bells and whistles, all the tooling, all the materials, all the meeting booking help, all the sales presentations, all the pricing calculators, all that. That's sales enablement. And also visibility into what you're actually doing. So activity levels, amount of calls, amount of meetings versus your quota. That's what we're all measured against, right?
Yes. Okay. So in my vocabulary, that kind of links in with sales operations as well.
Yeah.
And then especially in the, well, let's say not Finnish markets, there's a lot of talk about revenue operations as well. So do you have a team for RevOps or sales enablement or something, or who's responsible for it?
Yeah, good question. We do not have a specialized team to focus on that. It's basically a joint effort between sales and marketing and our SDR, so sales development team. And our marketing did a huge job, and would like to use the opportunity to thank our head of growth marketing, Nina Tuomisto, for all the hard work. All the materials that were branded in different colors and things from 5 companies are now into one. So it was a big effort. Let's put it that way.
Sounds like it. Does anybody want to ask anything, or should I keep annoying him? So it's just me then. Oh, go ahead.
I have one question. Pekka,
Wait for the mic so people in the stream will hear you as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Pekka, you were talking about first of all, the platforms and content and processes, and obviously, talking about people as well. But I think, in my opinion, one of the most important thing to implement something like that, especially this fast, you have done it, comes back to that people, how you managed and how you managed to change within the 5 organizations to become one. So what are the learnings there, and what do you see? How do you see that to be done most effectively or best way? Thanks.
2 things. If the strategy supports it, it's a no-brainer. And if there's a, board and top-level management support, it's easier. 2 things.
I'm going to continue on this question a bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned HubSpot quite a few times as well.
Yeah.
Did all of the 5 businesses have HubSpot already in use, or did you have to change from other systems, marketing automation and CRM?
Well, HubSpot and Excels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we had two instances of HubSpot basically in use.
Yeah. Okay. How was there a lot of kind of, I don't want to change, I've been doing this way type of resistance?
Nothing.
Nothing.
None.
So you should be leading all change management projects everywhere then.
No, obviously, change is always intimidating and challenging, and it's basically about finding the motivation. What's in it for me, and what's in it for our marketing. As an example, we have now clarity into what we do. And in terms of sales, all the salespeople will be actually by the end of this month receiving a new dashboard on their work, their customer base, and none of these changes that were made were done for the management. They were done for the customers and also for the people doing and delivering growth.
Yeah, I guess what you said there, what's in it for me, might be the, especially for salespeople.
Yes.
If there is nothing in it for them, they're not going to change.
True.
Anything else? I guess we conclude them. Thank you, Pekka.
Thank you very much.
And he's not going anywhere. We're going to continue. Have a seat, please. Continue towards the panel to end the day. We're going to be talking about requirements for future-proofing your commercial function. So another very small and easy topic. And for this panel, we'd like to invite our last guest. He's going to be here virtually very soon, I hope. There he is. He is Mikko Marsio, Chief Revenue Officer from Cadmatic. Welcome, Mikko.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
How are you feeling being there virtually?
Well, I would love to be there. It's always easier to be on stage, and it's in a way benefit for those who are on stage than to be sort of starting from how to look lively and up to interesting in online. But I think this hybrid corona world has taught us so much that how to behave and how to also improve how to present online. So good, thank you.
Nice, welcome. You've been in, let's call them go-to-market leadership roles for 30 years or so now-ish. How is your day-to-day at the moment linked to the topics that we'll be discussing today?
Yeah, first of all, these 30 years, I normally present myself for 20 plus years, but that's a reality that it's over 25 years. Yes. Yeah, so thank you. So first of all, to give the context, Cadmatic is an industrial software company, 340 people, 16 offices in different countries, 21 nationalities, and revenues 35 million euros. And my work, so as a Chief Revenue Officer, it's about how do we generate revenue, how do we create growth. So I lead the sales and the commercial operations at large, and I have done it now less than 2 years at Cadmatic, but I've been doing that in large corporations, a couple of well-known big brands, but then also smaller companies up to advising startups, and it's up to me sort of a passion that one thing is to understand, measure what is the performance today for the sales, what is the impact of marketing, what is the impact of pricing, how the offering is working. But then it's that, okay, are we doing right things? How to improve what we are doing and how to be this future proof? And I think it's easiest when you have a passion for this topic.
Easy. Okay, let's say it's easy then.
It's easier. Right. It's easier when there's a passion.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Well, let's kick off the discussion. We've been talking about this one topic throughout the whole day already, but making it easier to buy from you has been quite a hot topic today. Is this something that you also focus on at the moment? You kind of mentioned it there, but how big is your agenda?
Well, I think that first thing is that you need to be curious and you need to be interested that is it easy to buy from us? Is the customer experience from understanding us to buying us to using us, is it easier enough? So basically for me it's everything from our value proposition, key customer benefits, tangible benefits, hard benefits. Is the implementation easy? So I think it's sort of an endless journey where you discover that, because in the end, what is easy when you look sort of things inside out is not the same when you look things outside in.
Do you want to disagree?
I really don't want to disagree. Mikko, one question. How do you measure that? How do you measure the ease of buying?
Well, I think ultimately it is are the transactions increasing and revenues growing. But I think that it's one thing on my table as well, because it's a tricky question, that how do you precisely understand what is the impact of making things easier. But one thing is to observe customers, that one way or another, that do they think it's easier now than it was yesterday.
You can't throw somebody under the bus like that and not answer the question yourself. So your turn.
Yes.
How do you guys measure it?
Thank you. I was waiting for that. Measuring is one thing, and basically, at least my take is that it's measured on the success of sales. If it's easy to buy, sales works. The other side of, well, ease of buying is from my point of view, the way buying behavior has changed, and also, future proofing, how will it change going forward. Nowadays we at least have a lot of customers who would never buy from online, just won't, and we need to cherish that and accept it. But also the future generation is a bit different. So digital sales, product-led growth, all of these things, it's a bit easier to measure than the ease of doing business face-to-face, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Is there when thinking about this kind of whole making it easier to buy and trying to make it very concrete, what would be the first step to take if you want to head to that direction of making it easier to buy? Where do you start from if you're a newbie like me? Go ahead.
Ask the customer. How do you want to buy?
Which one?
All of them.
Mikko, would that be the same tip from you?
I would start even earlier. I would start by asking from myself, sort of, first of all, setting the sort of a mindset that I and we as a company, we believe that it might be, and most likely it is not always so easy to buy from us and always work with us. So basically having just the mindset that, hey, it needs to be easier. And in a way, having just this mindset, then you end up, for example, asking from the customer, that is it easy? Because if you don't ask this and sort of set this mindset, then you may ask many things from the customer, but you may even not ask this, that is it easy? So is it easy with us?
Yeah. Okay, another topic that we'll be speaking about today has been kind of investing into growth versus the product as well, and we kind of touched upon it as well. If we are a engineer-driven country or a business-driven country, Mikko, how do you see this? Is it true that us Finnish people, we invest more into the product than we do into growth?
Of course, I don't have a total coverage of how the Finnish companies operate and work, but if there would be one sort of one answer said, so when I started my career, there was always this that Finnish companies invest into product and technology and less to go to market. And that has sort of stayed as a mantra or a slogan ever since. And I heard it again and again. So I think there must be some truth there. I think over time, all the digitalization trends and these has sort of that things in Finland have progressed. But I say that because I worked for also with non-Finnish companies. I worked outside Finland, so also exposed to non-sort of Finnish companies and non-Finnish operations. So it's also tendency that if you have a highly technical product or you have sort of or sort of a technical mindset to business, then you naturally invest more to the product than to the go-to-market.
You're nodding there.
Yeah, nodding and thinking. Just came to think of a thing related to that. I don't know. What's your take, Mikko, on are we Finns good at justifying the investments to commercial projects, or is that the issue in a way? We cannot turn commercial investments into ROI calculations, but a product investment, yes.
Yeah, I think thank you for asking this, and I think it also applies a bit how we sell things, that we tend to sell things with features, and when in a way you should sell what is the impact to customers' business, customers' operations. So when you are able to calculate for the customer that this is roughly whatever cost efficiency, productivity improvement, time improvement, whatever tangible thing that customer is able to measure, then also the sales is much easier. But too much, we don't have these calculations. Sometimes I see that some people do not seem to even wanting them, but they are more into this, hey, that these are the new features. So if this is true at the sales front, so I think it's how to invest, how to understand what is the return on invest to invest into sales and marketing and sort of go to market at large. There should be, many should do their sort of more work.
Now you're smiling and nodding.
Yeah, smiling and nodding. This is my absolute favorite topic. Let's Mikko have a session after this session to discuss this more.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, especially in software, companies sometimes sort of forget why should customers care, and then sometimes the answer is that you save time and it's nicer and also less errors and stuff. So what? How much? By when? How come? Those are the questions that needs to be answered, and questions raised.
And if I bit continue that, it's interesting that when you have research studies in software, for example, SaaS companies in USA, so there's the average percentage of personnel who are working sales and marketing is roughly 40%. And I would say that in Finnish software companies, the percentage is 10 to 15, max 20. I know exceptions in Finland as well, but if there's an average company, definitely it is not 40%.
What's the percentage over at you guys? From the top of your head?
Top of my head, we're at 10, 15-ish.
So you need to triple it.
Well, we're doing our best.
You mentioned also in your speech, Pekka, the kind of dashboards and measuring stuff and so on, and we've been talking about investing into growth, but there's the other kind of spectrum, or the end of the spectrum, if investing a lot of money into growth but not measuring anything.
Yeah.
have you seen this in your role?
Sorry, I think everyone that has worked in a commercial role has seen examples of this, especially in sort of challenging economical times. The first place where you go to is usually the marketing budget. We can cut there. Is that the wisest thing? Well, no, but that's easy. If you're actually measuring the impact of marketing, that sort of cutting becomes a bit more difficult. And in sort of times of high growth, marketing budgets were thrown left and right and not really measured in terms of the impact. So if there's something good from the recession, that's one.
There you go. We got one very interesting question from the people who signed up to the event, which I'm not sure which one of you wants to answer this, but let's see. But the question was, how would you encourage an old school manufacturing industry company to revamp their sales and marketing game?
Ooh, blimey. Mikko, do you want to take the shot?
Yeah, I think there's a words combined that there's a old school manufacturing. So it's I think that how to start with, first of all, that if you very basic where to start, that if you are trying to revamp it with the existing people who have been sort of set up the mindset and the model, maybe it has been there 10 years, 20 years or so. So it's probably is that first of all, you need to hire someone who has experience that how to renew sales and marketing. Second, someone who is then making the hiring decision needs to be ready that the things what will happen are not always most likely on the comfort zone. That accepting that what are the proposals from the people who are then responsible may even up to always make sense that hey, that doesn't make sense to my mind, but accepting that okay, maybe this is not my sort of core competence and I need to give freedom to these guys then to do their work. And third, it's cost effective is sort of to do some type of experimentation, that if you have a certain business area that hasn't been successful, certain product line, so then you end up sort of testing, hey, let's do with these totally different things than we are used to do. It is not risking your core business in a way at all, but then you make learnings that okay, could we apply this to our sort of core business?
So you dodged the first bullet. Do you want to continue?
I did. I won't dodge the second one. I mentioned curiosity in the beginning of my speech and actually didn't get back to that. Sorry about that. Now is the time. I would start with, you mentioned Mikko hiring someone who maybe has the expertise to do the transformation. That's one. The other is to sort of highlight or foster a culture of curiosity regarding the customer insight. That's the only thing at the end of the day that matters in terms of sales and marketing success and bang for bucks in a way. If you don't know your customers, if you don't know what's actually beneficial for them, what's the business like, what are the industry challenges and so forth. It's all sort of quite bread and butter, but it's forgotten quite often.
You
mentioned... If I continue a bit, Pekka, so in a way the construction industry is labeled as a conservative, this sort of old school industry. So how easy it is to be software company, and how to have the talent from, or is there sort of how to cope with traditional industry, but then trying to do future-proof things?
That's a brilliant curveball. I would say that it requires, from my point of view, flexibility and adaptability of the go-to-market model. You need to have the capability to do face-to-face sales, face-to-face marketing also. You need to have digital capabilities for the sort of a bit younger generation who are digitally savvy and actually expect you to be providing a digital experience and also ability to buy digitally. Flexibility, adaptability of the go-to-market.
I think flexibility and adaptability, and then hiring somebody who's kind of done it before and so on. All of these links to what you were speaking about as well, about change management. Now, obviously, you said that you didn't face any change reluctancy at all, which is...
I might have been lying.
Yeah, which doesn't sound very true. But when thinking about the whole kind of buying behavior changing and all of this, it kind of requires constant change management, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And two things come to mind. It's about the motivation. What's in it for me? We've covered this already. And then ultimately tying the changes to the strategic goals of the company. And this is, speaking from experience, if you say that we're changing, who will follow? No one. If you're saying that these are the changes that we need to make in order to ABC, and if you also can include the customer into that sentence, then people follow. And then communicating, repeating.
Until you're bored of it, so then somebody can maybe remember what you've said.
Yeah, there's this Finnish saying, I don't know who said it, but some change management consultant, a wise person, jännittävä jankuttaminen. Exciting, saying things all over again, I guess.
Interesting. Mikko, you've also been a part of quite a few of these kind of sales and marketing transformation journeys, you could say. When it comes to change management, is there any kind of simple takeaways that you would give to the audience of how to make sure it actually happens?
Okay, so first of all, I hope that I don't sound difficult, that I don't like the word change management or the concept, because it's by its nature, it has sort of this negative flavor. And it's how to more sort of and I know I cannot change the term. I have accepted it, but because in the end, it's more of that when the topic was also the sort of a future proof, that sort of a developing the future management or future proof management or this. So then it has sort of a one more sort of it is more positive. One thing what I've noticed from change management is that normally the normal setup is that somehow the management is seen as that they are not under change management, that the management, whatever that means, because in large companies there are many layers, but there's the underlying idea is that the personnel needs to change, but the management is always sort of willing to change. And I've seen over the years that those who resist the change, it is not the level of the organization. It's more like the personality. It's the thing, people who are afraid to lose something or this. So you need to basically identify from levels that who are sort of a change makers, this, let's call them change agents, that who could be the change agents in different functions and organizational parts, but then somehow identify across sort of organizational levels that, hey, who are now the people who should be, who are resisting change. And there is, I've used over the years, there's this diffusion of innovation from 1960s. Rogers was where you have these early adapters, sort of early innovators, early maturity, or what you classify these people. So I think it's a very easy framework to how to identify that which sort of people belong to into which group, and how to win the hearts of this sort of a larger maturity in the organization.
Do you want to add to that? You're nodding again.
Yeah, nodding. It was a good summary of change management, even though you don't like the word.
Yes,
That's true. That's true. Okay, I've got a big question for both of you to kind of end the discussion before we head to the questions from the audience. So, what are the first steps to take when we think about kind of aligning the sales and the marketing and the customer support? So, aligning the whole commercial processes and the functions. What are the first steps to take to get started and go towards that point? Who wants to go first?
Pekka, if you start now.
Okay. Thank you. I can go first. Well, one good starting point is the customer journey. If you don't know whether it's good or bad, ask the customer if it's good or bad. If changes are required, then make the changes and align the different sort of touch points within the customer journey. That's where I would start.
I love how you make everything so simple. If changes are necessary, just make changes. Typically, it's that simple. Mikko, how would you do this?
Of course, do the same as Pekka, and maybe parallel. I would first of all, I think how to bring people together, to them to define what is our joint go-to-market. That how to put that, how this thing works. What is the system we have in place when we have these different functions who are now they're involved with different competencies. They are doing different things. So how can we somehow model it? Can we illustrate it? And we have first of all a graphical view that what things we need to have in place that we have a successful go-to-market. And then, hey, and what will rather naturally come, hey, we need these different part of the organization to make this happen.
Brilliant point of view there, and just sort of a slight addition to that. It's not just about aligning sales and marketing and customer success. It's about aligning the entire company, the product development, all that. And yeah, exactly as you said, Mikko, drawing that so that everyone knows how this machine works.
Yeah.
How this group of people do create customer value. Yeah.
Nice. So it wasn't that big of a question then.
No.
So anybody?
Mikko had the right answer.
Well, there you go. We have smart people.
There
on
are
the
no
line.
right answers. They are just opinions.
Any questions from the audience? We have time for at least one. So who's brave enough? No one. Interesting. Should I go for one? No. Let's not go there. I have two big questions. So let's thank Mikko and Pekka for the panel. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And also, obviously, on behalf of the organizers, Valve and MarkkinointiKollektiivi, let's thank Heli and Max as well once more, please. And please, for everybody in the stream watching, and obviously everybody here as well, give us feedback so we can make the next event even better. If you want to give feedback directly to a certain speaker, you can obviously just mention their name in the comment you leave, or I'm sure you can just connect with anybody on LinkedIn as well and just obviously give compliments. That would be very nice. So we're going to end the stream now. Thank you for attending. Please give us feedback, and we'll see you next time. And people here, don't go anywhere yet.